Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our PR Tips conference call on Membership Magic. We are delighted to have Laura Bruce here presenting this for you tonight. Laura Bruce is the president of Inverness Toastmasters in Scotland, and back in March of 2015 its membership had dwindled to only 7, and yet a year later the membership had quadrupled. Laura Bruce was the powerhouse behind this fantastic turnaround for Inverness Toastmasters. Laura Bruce is founder and director of Bruce PR, a boutique PR firm which brings business acumen and 2 decades of communications experience to address clients' needs. Laura Bruce currently is president of Inverness Toastmasters, and tonight she will share her ACE formula, a suite of online and offline tools that she used as VP membership to attract and engage visitors and, best of all, quadruple the membership. Laura's presentation will last approximately 30 minutes. Now, I've muted you all so as there is no background noise. Please feel free to text me any of your questions and I'll read these out to Laura at the end of the presentation. Thank you. Over to you, Laura.
But not finding them wanting to join the club, and ultimately any club that is facing extinction, as I like to call it. If you no longer have 8 or more members, you're in the danger zone. So ultimately VP's membership are going to be the most important link in this chain, but also presidents, VP's PR, and of course area and division directors. So that is the target audience who I think will probably benefit the most from this. So the idea of creating membership magic, you want to create an atmosphere in your club where guests feel welcome and appreciated, and they think, you know what, this is a place that I'd like to come every couple of weeks. And that, I believe, is the product or the byproduct of a place where everybody's been working together. And so if you have a dysfunctional club committee, you're going to be working from a deficit. You want to create a committee structure where the right people are in the right roles and people are encouraging people to join, they're welcoming at the door. So at meetings you want to talk to your visitors. You want to ensure there's an opportunity for informal networking, and in our club in Inverness we put something together so that there was a networking break right in the middle. So it wasn't optional for people to hang about. We programmed it in so people could talk to each other. And something we've just done, which was recommended to me by another club, was we've just started to open the doors at 6 for a 6:30 start. So people can mill about, shoot the breeze, and not feel like they have to just come in, go to their seat, and wait for the meeting to start. And then the other side of creating membership magic, it happens outside the club. And that's by spreading the word and inviting people to come along, to let them know that visitors are welcome, to let them know visitors are always welcome, that everyone is welcome, and giving them resources not just to come to your club, but also to help them promote your club as well. So flyers, brochures, business cards, and also hosting an open night. So the overview of today is we're going to look at this in 3 parts. The first part will deal with our online and social networking tools. There's a lot of them at our disposal. We're also going to deal with offline and IRL networking. And that doesn't mean networking in Ireland. That means in real life networking. So apologies for any confusion with that abbreviation, that acronym. And then finally, we're just going to touch on public relations, and in particular media relations, and how it has the potential to help attract people to your club. So why does any of this matter? Well, I'm going to cover our experience in Inverness quite briefly. Karen, in her introduction, thank you for that introduction, Karen, mentioned March 2015. Actually, that wasn't when I joined the club. I had been in the club for 1 year at that point, but it was in March 2015. I had just competed at the Division S contest in the International Speech Contest, and I had come second. it was unclear whether our Division S winner was going to go on to the D71 contest. And so there was some need perhaps to keep me as in reserve and ready to go. However, that afternoon I got a phone call when I got home from the contest to be told, bad news, Laura, there's only 7 members in your club. You're not properly constituted and you may not be able to go forward to the district contest. I was gutted personally, but I was quite hopeful that the winner would have gone anyway. But ultimately, what this meant was that my club was in crisis. We are in a remote location, and we had had a lot of members, founding members, also move away from the area as their work took them elsewhere. I had a couple of members leave through having babies, getting new jobs, getting busy with different things, and we were down to 7 paid-up members. And I thought, this is not good. So I took on a PR role at that time. I hadn't been on the committee, and started to publicize the group. So when I say that these are some hard-won lessons, I'm speaking from experience. Yeah, this is the blood, sweat, and tears from our group in Inverness, which I'm delighted to report that after about a year and a half, we're now at 26 or 27 members. And we've got a vibrant, warm, welcoming, and healthy club up in Inverness, and you're all very welcome to come and visit us. So why do you need to grow membership? Well, the very basic thing is that if you want to have a Toastmasters club to go to learn and progress your own skills, you've got to ensure that your club is in existence. You can get to vibrant later, but you've got to get existing first. So you need a steady stream of new members. They're going to bring new energy and vitality to your club. You also want people who are going to take your club on in years and decades to come. So there's a succession planning element of this. And as I said at the beginning, the most important thing you're going to have if you want members is you're going to have to look at getting guests. So the best way to understand this is to think of yourself as a guest. Put yourself in your guest's shoes. How are they going to discover your club? We decided there was probably 4 main ways that we could reach people when we knew we had to get people to come along. So they would do an online search on Google or one of the other search engines. They might have a look on social media. So there's plenty of places there for people to hear about Toastmasters, both the worldwide organization and your local club. There's word of mouth. So this is people talking about your club. Oh, I was at a great thing last night, or I heard this woman speak and I asked her why she was so good and she said it was Toastmasters. That's word of mouth, person to person. And then finally, there's your local newspaper and also radio, depending on where you live, how local your radio is. So these are 4 basic avenues to Toastmasters, and we're going to cover each of these. So I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the French film director Jean-Luc Godard. He said things have every film has a beginning, a middle, and an end, but not necessarily in that order. And that's where we are with my ACE formula. We'll get into it now, but the ACE formula is actually AEC, not ACE. But the ACE formula recognizes that membership in Toastmasters is a process. And the ACE formula captures that process and the various steps that you need to take people along. And your job as a member of the club, as a committee member, and as somebody who's self-interested in having your club survive, your role is to move a prospect along through that process. So when I said about the beginning, the middle, and the end, the ACE formula doesn't actually spell ACE. It's AEC, but that doesn't sound good. So we've changed it to ACE because the process is attract, engage, and convert. And this is what you're going to do with your prospects as they come into your club. the first thing you have to do is attract them. Then you want to engage them so they feel that there's something meaningful at your club for them, that they can answer the question, what's in it for me? And have an answer that is compelling enough to make them ask for a membership form or take the form you've already given them and part with some cold hard cash. And that's when we talk about conversion. So why would anybody want to become a member? Why would they want to join your club? What can your club give them that they can't get anywhere else? The question, as I said, that they have to answer is what's in it for them. So, your club probably, most of the clubs I've spoken to, the club has a website. You're going to have also at your disposal online resources that you haven't yet deployed. So you may have a website, you may not be updating it. Regardless of how often you update your website, I'm going to go through some tools that I think are going to get you and your club in front of prospects, that is potential guests. And the first one of them is Eventbrite. And I know in some areas Meetup is a very popular format. They're basically the same thing. Same idea, putting events out to the public so that punters who are looking for something to do on a Wednesday night in Clare can find you. Facebook obviously is a great tool as well. And Twitter, many people can find Toastmasters on Twitter because it's got a great search tool. And then finally, LinkedIn. So these are the sorts of online resources that we're going to be dealing with today. So first and foremost, we'll talk about your club website. This is your, as we would say in North America, your real estate, your piece of property on the web. And it is useful to attract members if your details are accurate and you keep it up to date. So when I say that your details are accurate, that it actually shows your meeting location, the schedule by which you meet, so that somebody coming to the site could say, oh, this means that there must be a meeting next week on a Tuesday, and gives them the location. It can also be a place where you show people how fun your club is. So I think putting up photos is a great way to do it. And people who are searching for Toastmasters or public speaking and your city or town name, hopefully will be given your club website as a search result. We put a contact form on our website, which you'll see in the next slide. And actually the day before I presented in Dublin in November, I received this email that you see on screen. This fella, Kenny Robertson, has subsequently joined our club as of our last meeting. So he came as a guest. He got in touch on the 10th of December. He came to his first meeting the 10th of November. Came to his first meeting, I think the 25th or around there of November. We only had our Christmas party in December, so it wasn't a regular meeting. And then he was there at the first meeting in January and asked for membership materials and signed up. So that is the power of a contact form on our website. That's how Kenny found us, and that is how Kenny has now joined our club. Going on to the next slide, we cover Eventbrite. So Eventbrite is located on the internet at eventbrite.com. So you should designate someone in your club, probably the VP PR, or somebody who's tech savvy and feels like doing this, to become your organizer on Eventbrite, and they will have to create an organizer profile. And then it's very simple to create an event. Get a picture from one of your meetings, use that as your header photo, give all the meeting details and a little description of your club, how the meetings work, what guests can expect. You have the option to create paid or free tickets, so you'll create free tickets, then you make your event public, and then Eventbrite is out there putting out a hook to catch fishies on. And that is just such a simple tool. We've gotten a lot of people that none of us knew through Eventbrite. If you go on to the next slide, you'll see we've got the a screenshot of our Eventbrite page. So this was for our meeting on the 23rd of November. So there's a smiling faces. We've got a guest there, some committee members, and our club banner. So it's branded Toastmasters by putting the banner photo, the photo of our banner in this banner photo. And then there's all the details that anybody could need to come along to the meeting. Facebook is the next thing that we did. I started creating Facebook events for our club, but I also started utilizing Facebook to show how much fun we were having. So we had a Facebook page, but it wasn't very active, and we only had about 50 or 55 members, or people who had liked the page rather, in March 2015. I was given administrator access to the page. If you go back a slide, Karen, I was given administrator access to the page, and I also made some other club members editors of the page. So what you want to do is create a Facebook event. So you add a header photo, maybe the same one you're using on Eventbrite, who, what, where in terms of the meeting. Let people know what they can expect. Are they going to be asked to speak? Will you not call on them? Those are the sorts of things. Maybe they could have some anxiety about that. Say, don't worry, we won't make you talk. You won't have to get up and speak. And then share this event. It's like publishing it. Publish your event to Facebook and then invite people to it. That's the key. An event without people invited to it is undiscoverable. So what you want to do is get it out to your friends, your colleagues, your other club members. You can invite them if they're your friends on Facebook. So it might be worthwhile making those connections if you haven't got them already. And then again, you've got Facebook working for your club 24/7. And the following slide, you can see this slide is the Facebook event page. Again, the same picture, date and time really clearly signposted. And you can see a couple of people had already joined up. And this was 2 weeks in advance. So there you have it. Twitter was the next, you can also copy the Eventbrite thing and paste it into your post. So this really animates it. And what this does is it gives people a link from this post on Facebook. You've pasted in your Eventbrite event link, and people can then click on that and go directly to Eventbrite to sign up. So that's quite handy. So Twitter was another tool that we use. So we put a picture of a local recognizable thing on our Twitter header. We linked the Twitter profile to the Facebook page, so it would automatically tweet whatever we put on Facebook would go out on Twitter. We followed other Toastmasters clubs. We gave a couple of different people access to the Twitter account within our club, and we tweeted about the meetings. And the important thing when you're tweeting is to use hashtags that you would use if you were looking on Twitter. Public speaking, leadership, success, and the most important one, hashtag your city name. So if we go to the next slide, you can see there we were after one of our meetings, 6 hours after the meeting. We were responding to a tweet we had gotten. Somebody who just visited and said what a nice time she had. We tweeted back to her and said, wonderful to have you along. So there you go. That was a way that we engaged people on Twitter. And so in your Twitter profile, you want to also include the same kind of information that could help somebody find you if that was the only information they had. So what your meeting schedule is, a description of your club, your venue, and then ultimately a link to the website. So for each of these, you can see there's ways to be consistent, get the same image, message across, and be welcoming and warm. LinkedIn, ultimately, we haven't done a lot of work on LinkedIn, but we've focused on Eventbrite and Facebook, and those have worked quite well for us. But we also do have a LinkedIn group for our club. Interestingly, most of the people who were members of it had actually never been to one of our meetings. So I did email all of them through LinkedIn asking them, and you can email group members, which is, even if you're not connected to them, you can still send an email to them through LinkedIn if they belong to your group. So we would say things about our club and upcoming meetings, and just trying to raise awareness. We haven't had great success with LinkedIn in terms of the group, but it's also very good if individual members post that they're going to a meeting, and their connections then will see this on LinkedIn. We had this is a picture of the open night that we had done. So this was the post, and this went out to the group. I think there's only about 15 people in that Toastmasters LinkedIn group, so there wasn't a great amount of engagement, but anyway, it was out there. And then finally, real life networking tools. So what we did was we hosted an open evening in September, and we promoted this at a business expo that takes place during Highland Business Week. So we handed out the flyers with all the meeting details so people could take it away and find their way to our meeting. We took a stand at this trade show, and we also in February 2015 hosted a demonstration meeting, no, 2016, with Highland businesswomen. So we got a number of members that way, including one fella whose wife came to the meeting and said, "Joe, you absolutely must join this group." So that is a happy coincidence. So I hope that's covered how you can use various online tools to attract guests and give them a sense of what they can expect at a meeting. I think it's important not to, I think it's important to put yourself in the person's shoes and think, oh, I'm afraid, what if they speak to me? What if they want me to speak at the meeting? I'm terrified. So make it clear that they don't have to speak, so that that doesn't become a hurdle that they have to consider. Just knock that hurdle out of the way before they ever get in touch with you, because you don't want that to stop them coming along. So now they've come along, your job is to engage them, and you have lots of tools at your disposal when it comes to engaging people. So what you have are people, and what it's funny, but it is a kind of courtship that you begin with a guest, and what you're wanting to do is to encourage them that this relationship will be good for both of you, and that them coming along is going to create a win. It's going to benefit them in some way. It's either going to get rid of their fears, going to give them confidence, help them progress at work, help them achieve a goal, make a dream come true. It could be any number of things, and that's why it's important to talk to them. So what we did was we used Eventbrite to create a list of prospects. We harvested everybody who had registered through Eventbrite that we didn't know through another means, and we emailed them, and that was how we let them know. They might have come to one meeting, they might have registered and not come, but this is how we let them know they were encouraged to come again. So we sent out an invitation to these people, and we had an invitation list created for all our members. So it was very simple to email prospects and members and tell them this was the next meeting, this was the location, and remember, oh, you know, bring £10 if you want to put down a deposit for the Christmas party, you know, whatever, anything to do with that particular meeting. Again, you can see on our contacts page on the next page that we had different groups of prospects, and we've gotten members from all of these different groups, which has been brilliant. Facebook has been just a great thing, taking pictures of the meetings and putting them on Facebook, tagging members but also tagging guests if it's possible, has created an opportunity for them to share these, the fact that they went to a Toastmasters meeting or that they had a good time. There's a picture of them, they're tagged, they can share it and put a personal message on their own page saying, I met some great people last night at Toastmasters, you guys would love it. And if you go to the next page, Karen, you'll see one of our sample posts. So that was me with Phil, who's subsequently become a member. Kathy in the bottom left, she's become a member. Lorna's become a member, and Susie's become a member. So those were 4 guests. Pictures taken at that meeting, and bang, every one of them has joined since that November 1st meeting. So I think that is pretty darn good. It was an end of October meeting. So Facebook has been very successful. Twitter, we talked about, it'll automatically tweet your things, and the photos that you put on Facebook, if it's linked to your Twitter account, those will go out as well. So just one more simple way to get things out there, as you can see on this meeting tonight. This is the Eventbrite detail, and then great meeting last night. So we would tweet before and after our meetings. LinkedIn, same idea. If you've got pictures, that's great. You can also congratulate your members if somebody's just gotten their CC or their CL, different things like that. Putting photos up and letting people know that guests are welcome. Very simple and straightforward. When it comes to your club website, it's brilliant if you can then take it all one step deeper. So you can create a more personal account of Toastmasters on your club website. Have different club members maybe write a paragraph or two about what they've gotten out of Toastmasters. And people will then be able to see themselves in your members' experiences. And this is an easy, really beneficial way to start to create rapport. Again, answering the question, what's in it for me? You bring your website to life with photos. You can post about upcoming meetings, talk about the social events you get up to with your club, and again, always reiterating that guests are welcome. When I talk about real life networking, when you have people at meetings, what you want to do is treat them like VIPs, because when it comes to your club, guests are the VIPs. Without them, through attrition, you will end up with no club. So every guest is a VIP. Have a welcome team at the ready. You can have these be your committee. You can have people come along and help your sergeant at arms get the room ready and be ready for people who arrive to welcome them. We have a sign-in book, a guest book we bought from Toastmasters, as well as a sign-in sheet. So the first time everybody comes, we invite them to sign the guest book. We get their email address, we get their telephone number if they're willing to share it, and then we're able to follow up with them. We have big, thick markers and stick-on Toastmasters branded mailing labels. So we just write their first name in big letters with this big marker, give it to them, stick it on their right hand side of their chest, and then our permanent members have permanent name badges. So it's easy to say, oh, hi, Phil, is this your first time? Speaking of first timers, I'll just skip ahead 2 slides. We've got a first timer ribbon, and we give this to everybody. We've had so many first timers, we've run out of ribbons. So we gave at our last meeting those red Toastmasters International ribbons. So the people love these. It's great. They put it on their bulletin board, they put it in their cube in their office, and then it's another conversation point. Going back to that previous slide, we talk about real life and networking. It's about speaking to the visitors. Ask them after the meeting, did they enjoy themselves? Would they like any more information? If you have a network break like you do, I ask them halfway through the meeting, what do you think? Is this what you're expecting? Do you like the atmosphere? Do you know anybody here? How did you find out about us? Ask them, would they like an invitation to the next meeting? Make sure you've got their email address, and if so, you're able to follow up with them. You can also, at this point, encourage them to come along to more meetings. I always like to remind them that they're welcome to attend up to 3 meetings before making a decision about joining. Don't say you can come to 3 meetings before you join. Remind them you have to be conscious that it's a decision that they're going to make. And if you do your job right, they will join. But let them know they can come to 3 meetings before they have to make a decision. You want to follow up with your visitors by phone or by email. And you might also, I did a lot of this when I was VP membership. I was chasing everybody who came to a meeting. I would contact them ahead of a meeting. I would ask them, were they planning to come? How nice it was to have them, and ask them if they'd like to come along. And in fact, in some of the cases, I said, did they need a lift to the meeting? So I did not want anything to stand in their way. And if I couldn't give them a lift, I would find somebody who lived near them who could give them a lift. So the other thing you want to do is when you give somebody a first-timer ribbon, take their picture. this is what we did. And that's Lorna, who's now joined our club. And that was her in the summer, last summer, coming for the first time. So we treated Lorna like a VIP, and she has rewarded us by parting with money and joining Inverness Toastmasters, and I couldn't be happier. Step 3 is the conversion. And I'm conscious of the time, we're just 1 minute ahead of our estimated deadline. This is all stuff that you're going to understand because you've had people come along. So it's closing the deal. Make it simple and easy for people to join. Hopefully you have already given them a membership form. Explain what their membership pays for. We have put our bank details on the form so nobody has to be emailed anything. And I also handwrite my email address or the VP membership's email address on the form, or give them your phone number so they can contact you with any questions. You also online, you could follow up with them with an email and email them a PDF of your membership form. Remember, you have to ask for the sale. You have to close the deal. Would you like to join Toastmasters Inverness? We would love to have you as a member of our club. Tell them about the mentoring. Tell them about the progress. Tell them about your personal experience, but close the deal. We're talking about membership magic. You want a warm welcome to the club. When they've joined, you might want to have a formal induction ceremony. Give them a pin, a ribbon, a member certificate. Make sure you assign them a mentor. And consider hosting an orientation session, as formal or informal as you need to be in your club. And you can get more information from Toastmasters International. There's a new member induction kit. Media coverage is the last of the tools that we used, and this was a way to reach people who still read newspapers. There's a lot of people who read newspapers and listen to the radio, people who don't use Facebook, people who don't use these other social and online tools. And you can put out a story, just a little meeting notice, something simple. You've got a VIP coming to visit. It's we're about to announce our 100th meeting at Toastmasters International. There's templates on ti.org. So just go out, use the template, adapt it for your club, and ping something out to your local news, your local news outlet, radio. If you have TV, all the better. And newspapers, especially weekly newspapers, have been very beneficial for our club. They've got sample news releases on the website, so there's one you can see. So it's very simple to find. If you're trying to figure out what's newsworthy, we've identified just a couple of things there on the next slide. Election of club officers, a picture of your new committee, that you've got a contest coming up, or these are the winners of your contest, and send the newspaper a photo. If you have a club member who's successful in area or district, you can send that along, or division. Anything unusual or surprising, send it by email to the news desk. Finally, to recap, that is the ACE formula. We've whizzed through it. Normally I would take a couple of breaths during the presentation. But you can see it's a process: attracting visitors, engaging with them, and then ultimately converting them to your new club members, and then looking after them. There should be another E there at the end for engaging them after they become members, but we can talk about that maybe in another webinar. So now, Karen, you can tell me if anybody has any questions. What questions do you have? I hope you have questions.
Laura, thank you so much. That was fantastic. I got so much from that, and it's wonderful to see it. Eventbrite's something that I haven't looked into too much. I use a bit of, but I'll definitely, after tonight, I'll definitely be using more of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just unmute people and they have their questions. So what I'll do is I'll let them ask you directly. So first is Donal O'Neill. If I can unmute him. Donal, how are you? Do you have a question for Laura?
Not really, no. I just want to say it was an excellent presentation. The information there was really powerful. and we have used some of it in our club, and we were very, very low. I'm in Lagan Valley in the north here, and our membership is very low, and I'm glad to say now we're getting up towards the 20 mark now, which is great, and we're using a lot of the stuff that Laura just showed us there, a lot of social media, Facebook and so on, and it does work for us.
That's great to hear, Donald. Good on you for getting out there and finding these tools to build your membership in Lagan Valley. Well done.
Thank you.
And next we have, is Steve Wellman, if I can unmute you. Steve, how are you? Do you have a question for Laura?
Karen. Yes, Laura, hello.
Hello.
Second time around, I heard you give this presentation at Dublin, and I thought I need to hear this again because the stuff I've probably forgotten or didn't write down. In fact, if I heard this 6 or 7 times, it wouldn't be enough. My perspective from a division standpoint is that whilst all this is either obvious to those of us with marketing experience or makes complete sense, it is another matter to get it across to committees or presidents that they need to start using this stuff. And whenever I go around to clubs and in conversations with my area directors and within my own club, there is this issue that, you know, we all know what successful looks like. And this is very specific stuff, which is, for me, reasonably easy to do by anyone. And if they don't have the expertise, there's always somebody that does have it. But they're just not using it. And it's really worrying because I don't know what the answer is to that.
Well, I think, Steve, maybe one of the things to consider is to add an element of competition to it. I have seen people, if you give out a £1 prize or a €1 prize to the person who gets a visitor at the next meeting, everybody who gets a visitor, and to physically do it, start with something as basic as inviting people person to person. You could say this month, whoever can grow their Facebook likes the most is going to get a prize from division. You could pit clubs against each other perhaps and encourage them to focus just on one tool. You know, you might say Eventbrite. This month, who can get people, whoever gets the most people to sign up to come to your meeting by Eventbrite is going to get some sort of reward. And to use that as a catalyst to get people motivated. I think it's key in a sort of apathetic or disengaged environment. People can be overwhelmed. You know, Facebook, Eventbrite, Twitter, LinkedIn, you know, enough already. That's why I think it would be good to just make it one tool. Put the focus on one tool, add an element of competition, and see if that can't get some people at least motivated.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else, Karen? Have you muted yourself, Karen? We can't hear you.
Yes, I have muted myself. I'm very sorry. Pat Gordon had a question. He has muted himself, so I'm going to call out the question that Pat gave. And it was, Pat's asking, will there be a replay available for committee members? He's saying excellent tips. And that's from Pat Gordon, Ballina Toastmasters. Absolutely, Pat. We're going to have this available. What I will do is I'll send you all out a copy of it, if I can. Either way, it will be on the district website under media and that, or under webinars. So
You've reminded me of a wonderful trip to Ballina where I sat in your seaweed bath there in those copper tubs. Oh, what a weekend.
Very good. There's another question from Tony Blairstow. He's saying, do we need permission when taking photos of guests for online use? I think it does no harm to say to them, you know, we'll be putting this on Facebook. Is that okay? I think it's nice to have that clearance. What have you found,
That's
Laura?
what we say, Karen. Yeah, that's what we say. Sometimes at the break we'll say, we'd like to take some pictures at the end. Would that be okay? And people almost always say that's fine. And of course, if they don't want their picture taken, you just don't take it. Simple.
Yeah, in my club, there's a few members who don't like the pictures for a variety of reasons. So I'll always warn them we're going to take a group shot, and you know they'll discreetly just move to the side and I'll keep them out of it. That works quite well.
It might also work to do what they do on Bargain Hunt. They put up a sign in the auction house before the auction is televised, and they say, just to let you know, Bargain Hunt will be filming here today. We could put something on our side-in table that said, we're going to take some pictures that we might use on Facebook, just a little sign to let people know. If you don't want to, just say to so-and-so.
Perfect. Laura, that was a lot of information. If anybody else has a question, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you. But it's 45 minutes now and we probably need to be closing off soon. So Garode Murphy, I'm going to unmute you. Garode?
Hi Karen. Hi Laura.
Hello, Garode.
I just wondered, as regards Twitter, how successful do you think Twitter really is? And I see Daniel is on the call as well, and Daniel did a survey recently. So, is Twitter worth it for clubs? And Twitter members.
I would say, Garode, Twitter is worth it for members when you find that you have a member who is engaged in Twitter, or a new member. So if you give them something to tweet about, they will retweet it to their audience. So it's not so much about who you're reaching, it's who your members can reach. So if you tweet a picture from your meeting and they then tweet it to their audience, they're going to reach people that you never would have reached organically. So it's not as obvious with Twitter as it is with Facebook when you get shares and things and likes and all of that. But I do think it's maybe more of a slow burn, Twitter, than Facebook or Eventbrite.
But it might be worth it.
Might be worth it, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Laura.
You're welcome. Nice to talk to you.
And Alex Nibs is on a phone. Unfortunately, we won't be able to hear you, Alex, but he was just saying that he had the same problem with a lady in the audience who didn't want to be in a photo, and she was the only lady there. So when they took her out of the photo, it looked like an all-male club. But let's hope you meet other women who are happier to have their photo included, Alex. We're going to finish now, but I'd like to again say thank you so much, Laura. That was a fantastic presentation. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure everybody else, I know they're all muted, but I'm sure they all will be very happy. If you want to just send Laura on some feedback, you have her email address there. Is there anything you want to say to her directly or thank her directly? Because she did a phenomenal job. Thank you so much, Laura.
It's my pleasure. And if anybody has any questions, if you want to know how to operationalize any of these tips, or if you've got stuck on something, please just drop me an email, give me a ring. I'm happy to help.
Fantastic, super. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Bye now.
Thanks, Karen.